Hello World at War students, this is Mrs. Lincoln. We're going to take a quick tour of the Moodle site that will be used for our course. Once you've logged in at the district level, you'll be taken to this home page. As a Lakeview High School student, you have a unique opportunity this semester to be part of a blended learning project. Mr. Durham is the recipient of the first ever Damaso International Study Fellowship from the Battle Creek Community Foundation, and he'll be instructing his World at War classes online. From June to October, Mr. Durham is touring landmarks in Europe and Asia. While traveling, he'll coordinate with LHS staff to virtually offer lessons to you on culture and history. LHS students have been grouped into Cohort A and Cohort B for this blended learning class. A third section of World at War will make use of the online content as well. I'm going to click to bring up the fall combined schedule for the first 6 weeks of the course, and you can see that on a given day, one cohort may be in A206 and the other cohort is on its own or working in the library. They also have the option to go off campus since this is fourth block. Each week contains 5 modules, one for each day of the week. Week 1 is organized a little differently because of the Labor Day holiday and no school on Monday. We're going to come down here to the bottom of the page, and there is a summary of the specific content for a given module. For example, Week 1, Module 2 focuses on causes of World War I. And for weeks 2 through 5, modules 1 and 3 will deal with World War I, while modules 2 and 4 are concerned with World War II. And always module 5 will bring it all together, and that's when the two cohorts A and B will be in the forum on Friday. Let's return to the World at War homepage, and I want to look at a typical week's content. And I'm going to use week 2 as an example first because it is the first normal 5-day week that we'll have in the course. So there will always be a recap of the content, and you see that for week 2 we focus on the impact of war on individuals, families, and nations. We compare and contrast battles in World War I and II, and then look at the emergence of a new result of war, shell shock, battle fatigue, or PTSD. We use the ugliness scale to accurately compare battles from across history. And there will always be a graphic that often leads to a primary source from the Library of Congress or National Archives. This particular graphic is about the village of Somme in France and shows the effects of the devastation of World War I. I'm going now to the actual modules for week 2. And again, we have the modules one by one corresponding to 5 days of the week. So for module 1 under week 2, you will first hear a pre-recorded introduction from Mr. Durham. Again, the focus is on the battlefields of World War I, and then you're asked to read an article. This particular article is from Gale Virtual Reference Library on the Somme, and the next article is on Verdun. Did the Germans hope to achieve a military or political goal? So we'll connect to that article, and you might recognize, being from a Gale Cengage database, it has the familiar tools where you can print, email, save, cite correctly, translate the article into a number of world languages. You can listen as connected, or you can even first translate into the world language and then listen to the article. So great functionality from Gale Cengage databases. Okay, let me get ourselves back to our World War II modules, and for week 2, look at a few other types of Moodle activities that you will typically see. After you do your readings, you may respond to questions about the Battle of Somme and Verdun. So I click here, and I have the ability to type right in a text box my answers to the questions. So prompt is, why did people begin to question the purpose of fighting? World War I after the Battle of the Somme, and I go ahead and type my answer here. I click submit, and I will be taken to the next question in the series on the Somme and Verdun. When I'm done with inputting my responses, I will be taken back to the week 2 modules, and I will go right back there now. I want to point out under Module 5, in other words, the end of the week, the assignment will often be a little bit more in-depth and asks you to do some serious reflection, looking back at what has been covered in a particular week. So in this case, we connect to the reflection assignment, and you have your instructions. You're comparing 2 scenarios of fights breaking out at LHS, identifying the perpetrators, victims, collaborators, and you will respond to the questions. And when you are ready to add your submission, that can be by uploading a file, or if you prefer, you may type your responses directly into this text box, and this will work very well on your mobile devices. And then of course you also have the option to upload a file. I am going to go back to our home page and now look at week 1 and see some additional types of activities on Moodle. Our week 1 modules, and many online courses use the component of a discussion forum. So in week 1, after you have read an article on thinking as a hobby and you have seen a spoken word video, you click on the discussion forum. There will be a prompt. You are asked, after viewing the video, explain the artist's thesis that you can hate school but love education. Do you agree? Why or why not? And then respond to some of the views that another student has posted. So discussion forums throughout our Moodle course. I think we can see on this page of the modules instance of red text. We've highlighted, given you sort of literally a red flag. Remind you that you would need to install a Prezi for iPad app, and if you can't do that, we have a workaround where you can view the PDF version of the Prezi. So red text may be a technology glitch, but we've tried to troubleshoot ahead of time and given you the workaround. Another time you might see that red text when it comes to reading a Gale Cengage article. When you connect from school, you get in automatically. When you try to connect from home, you must sometimes authenticate first by going to Michigan eLibrary, mel.org, click on the databases, get into the particular database where your article is found, and then come back to our World at War course, and you'll be able to bring up the article without any difficulty. Finally, at the bottom of week 1 modules, I want to point out our World at War note-taking guide. We've set up this note-taking guide in the form of a wiki. It is individualized for you as a student in the class. Nobody else will see what you write on the wiki, but you can keep track of important ideas, new information, useful websites, and if you are diligent about maintaining your note-taking guide, at the end of the 5 weeks there will be a test, and this would be a great way to review your reflections and notes on the course content thus far. Finally, back on our home page, we want to point out some useful material off to the left sidebar. We have recommended online sources about World War I, very often from the Library of Congress. This is a collection of recordings. American Leaders Speak from World War I. Here's the American Memory Timeline. And a little bit further down, recommended online sources for World War II. The Avalon Project gives you primary documents by way of Yale University. Again, Library of Congress recommended sites, and then there are sites recommended for the Holocaust. United States Holocaust Memorial Museum, Yad Vashem, Voice Vision Project nearby over at U of M Dearborn, and also the Steven Spielberg Jewish Films Archive, and a very interesting project from the Shoah Foundation out in California, where recordings have been made available of survivors, and students actually have the opportunity to view those videos and edit them, bring them into their own projects. Next, there will be news alerts from our Gale databases, and of course we've seen articles from Gale before, but this is an updated feed, so the articles will be current. For example, this one, Torpedoes in Paradise, comes to us via Gale, and the date stamp is July-August 2013. So again, an up-to-date article about World War II. Under the news alerts, we connect to Mr. Durham on location in Europe via his blog, and if you have need of help with the course, technical issues, questions about research, you can always ask a librarian, and that triggers an email to me, Mrs. Lincoln. I look forward to working with you this semester in the course. We are really privileged to be participating in an exciting blended learning project. We wish Mr. Durham the best of luck in the remainder of his travels abroad, and look forward to welcoming him back to LHS in early October. Good luck. Thank you very much.